Hey guys, Buffing Game back today bringing out a video, and today we're going over Season 5 tactical off-meta weapon builds that I'm using here. Been playing very little Warzone, but I did start jumping in a little bit here in Season 5. They did make some buffs to some Modern Warfare weapons, so I'm going to go through, just run through the loadouts that I have currently in my loadout. I like to switch it up every now and then, so show you guys what I'm using and what is currently viable for the off-meta tactical weapon world. So go ahead and jump into it right away. First loadout here, I finally switched this up. It's going to be the M249 and the Vector. So the SAW loadout here, the Mark 46, is going to be the mono suppressor, XRK Horizon 23-inch barrel. This is going to give you that Mark 46 barrel, or the handguard build there. And again, the stats for this are just as good as the Summit, just minus the damage at range. But again, very, very viable. This I prefer over the Summit, hands down, just because you don't take the knock for mobility. Tac laser on there for the aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking steadiness. You have the integral hybrid or the Leopold hammer to give you that 3.25 zoom, as well as that top mounted red dot or the delta point. Next up, just the commando foregrip there for the aiming stability and the recoil stabilization. Really good weapon here. This has been a weapon I've been using since Verdansk after they nerfed this thing. When I finally did pick it up, this is a build that works really well for me, and I know that the Tactical Brit used basically the same build minus the optic there. So really good weapon here, and again, it holds holds itself, I'd say, pretty solidly against the Vanguard weapons for sure. Next up, the Vector. So the Crisp Vector, running the Fennec here, the ZLR Deadfall barrel. So this is going to run the Deadfall, so you're going to, it's integral suppressor, but obviously, I mean, not really. It's clearly an attached suppressor, but regardless, you're getting really good stats with this: damage at range, recoil control, bullet velocity, and sound suppression. 5mm laser for the hipfire accuracy, ZLR blade for the aiming stability, aim walking steadiness, and then we're running the magazine, the 40 round of the 45 ACP, excuse me, and the underbarrel is the commando foregrip. Again, same stats, recoil stabilization, and aiming stability. Really good build here, rips really fast for CQC engagements, puts down enemies really quick, and it has a really good iron sight, so you don't really need an optic on this weapon. Next up, the M82. So this is my ghost. If it loads the M82, there we go. This is my ghost loadout here. I think this is my only ghost loadout that I have right now. So this is just my M82 for my ghost pickup. I have the wrap suppressor for the jungle hunter. Gives me that big fat wrap suppressor versus this smaller one. So this thing I think just looks amazing on this weapon. So again, the wrap suppressor, sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, effective damage range. We have the 22.6 combat recon for the best bullet velocity on the M82. We have the ultra zoom custom for that 20 times, goes from 2 to 20 times magnification. This is an optic I've used on this way back since the Cold War integration with the Verdansk map, and this thing is just very good because, again, you can adjust for different engagement distances, and I feel especially at closer quarters it really helps get follow-up shots on target as well as mitigate recoil. So that's a good option. I know nobody else, I don't think, ever uses that really, but for me, that's my go-to with the M82 when I'm actually trying to use it. 7-round speed mag here, as well as the bipod on this weapon. Now, the M82 caught heavy nerfs, which is weird because this was never a weapon anybody ever used except myself and a few members in the community. So the fact that it cut so many nerfs, they just buffed it a little bit more recently, and you can finally one-shot headshot again, I believe, at all ranges, maybe. But regardless, I've had really good luck with this weapon. Downed a lot of people, got a lot of kills with the M82. Still one of those higher skill weapons for sure, but again, very rewarding when you're getting kills with the M82. So definitely check that out. This is my best build, I would say. This is the old build that I've always used for the most part, and I've always had the best luck with this build right here, even though you'll see a couple different ones here throughout this video. I'm running that with a Renetti here just for that 3-round burst for those close quarters engagements with that stock option there for the brace on the weapon there for the shoulder butt stock. So next up, the Scar. This is a very interesting Scar build that I haven't covered really before. So we're running the Mark 17 here. We have the mono suppressor. First off, we're using the Black Adder blueprint, and we have the mono suppressor. Now, the 20-inch barrel here, I'm using the Trader upper blueprint on this thing versus the default, versus the Fugitive, versus the blank stare. So the Trader blueprint's giving us that black and kind of the grayish type color build here. So again, we're using the different upper versus the Black Adder lower. And again, we have damage at range, bullet velocity, recoil control. This is obviously the best in-slot barrel, being the longest. Skipping out the laser, using that Leopold hammer or the integral hybrid again. Bipod foregrip is the best one for me because when you crouch and go prone, you're going to be very, very accurate. And then here's one which was very surprising that I just put on there. Again, I built this for like aesthetics and tactical looks, but frangible disabling. So this one, bullets slow enemy movement and briefly disable tactical sprint when shooting legs. So crippling power. It slows your enemy down. And the 20-round magazine on this thing, the frangible disabling, makes the 20-round magazine more than enough to take out enemies. I was able to get a lot of kills and downs with this thing. For whatever reason, frangible disabling seems to be a perk that I've overlooked and a lot of other people have overlooked, especially here with the SCAR, because it is that 7.62 by 51mm NATO. It just hits really, really hard, and the frangible disabling allows you to hit them when they're running, slows them down, so you're going to hit more of your shots with that 20-round magazine and put them down. But this is just a really sleek, aesthetic Mark 17 build here. Definitely give that thing a try. Running it with my on-sling weapon being the MP7 mono suppressor, best in slot barrel, that FSS Recon. We have the 5mm laser, 60-round magazine, and the Merc foregrip for hipfire accuracy on there. And again, really good build. Great support for close quarters engagements with the SCAR. Next up, the MG5. This is a weapon that I've always thought this was actually one of the best machine guns in the game. So the MG5 here, running the mono suppressor, M91 heavy barrel for the damage at range, bullet velocity, recoil control. We have a tac laser because it is a heavier weapon, especially heavier caliber. We want that aim down sight speed and the perks that go with that. We have the integral hybrid again for 3.25 to the top mounted delta point engagement distance, and the Merc foregrip for best in-slot recoil because this is a 7.62 by 51mm cartridge that we're firing through this weapon. So the MG5 with the M91. Very, very underrated machine gun. I would definitely recommend giving this a try. I have separate videos on the channel if you want to see how it works. Hits like a tank, and you down people very, very quickly with this thing. Pairing it on sling with the MP7 again for close quarters engagements when I need it, and it works. These two work really, really well together. The MG5, I've always had great games with this. You never have a bad game with the MG5 for whatever reason. This thing is very, very, probably one of the most, if not the most overlooked machine gun in the game. Give it a try. Next up, my LVAW and the M82 build. I won't go through this because these builds I've always pretty much covered millions of times on the channel. However, I did swap out for a tactical foregrip for whatever reason, and for some reason it works out really well. So give that a try. Let me know what you think. Tactical foregrip is something that nobody's ever used, but for whatever reason, it's been working pretty well for me lately. Just trying to switch things up and have a good time, and the tactical foregrip, for whatever reason, is working for me. So next up, I have the, even though it's labeled Salt Mod 2, Salt Mod 2, yeah, the Block 2, I did change the weapon, so I didn't rename it. Here we have the DSA 58 OSW, or the Operator Specialist weapon, so you have a compensator on this thing. I'm using this Skull Shot blueprint for the more modern DSA 58 look. We have the handguard, full-length Picatinny on the upper receiver. We have the handguard Picatinnies on all three additional sides besides the upper, so we have 12, 3, 6, and 9. Compensator on there for recoil control, tac laser for the ADS speed, PBX hollow, 30-round magazine of that 7.62 by 51mm NATO, and the Merc foregrip for the best recoil control in my opinion with this. This is a gun I've had a lot of success with on Rebirth, and it translates very, very well onto Fortune's Keep. Definitely a high skill weapon though, because you need to have a good trigger finger, and again, it works really, really well. Pairing that with the M82 yet again. So give that a try. Next up, the MG338 or the RAL machine gun. So this one, pretty standard build here, minus the optic. We're running the RAL monocore, or the monocore, which is the best in slot suppressor, the best in slot barrel there with the line breaker, tactical tac laser for the best ADS speed, and then we have the integral hybrid versus the standard, the one that typically comes with this being the 4x integral sight. So we're actually using the hammer sight on this, which again, I just try to switch it up, do something I haven't done before, and it works really, really well. Also, then we have the best in slot underbarrel there for the recoil control and the aim down sight speed. This thing, still one of the more underrated machine guns. It seemed like it just got a buff recently as well. I expect to see this in Modern Warfare 2 also, along with the MG, whatever they designate, the 6.8 by 51mm version of this as well. So definitely give this thing a try. Hits like a tank in Fortune's Keep as well. I have a couple good wins with this weapon. Let me know what you guys think. Pairing this with the P90. The P90 just got a buff as well. Mono suppressor 4-sec retribution handguard there, or the barrel option, 5mm laser, running the FSS integral ring sight on this thing, which is really, really cool. This is one of the custom sights that comes with it, and the granulated grip tape for aiming stability, and then we have con being the movement speed. But this thing, they just got a bit of a buff here in Season 5, and this is a weapon I've used a lot in the past, covered a lot in the past with some separate videos, and again, the buffs it received makes it more viable than I thought it already was. This weapon also was always really, really good. No one used it for whatever reason, but here now it definitely can compete a little bit better with some of the Vanguard weapons specifically, and it does have very good range on it as well. Next up, the Knights Armament Company LAMG. This is our version with the adverse barrel, so the gas is tuned up to the max here for a max rate of fire. We have the mono suppressor, the Pro Twist adverse barrel, so not quite the best in-slot barrel for the adverse setting, but one that is good enough and saves us on mobility. So it's going to give us the bullet velocity and the fire rate versus the adverse long shot, which will give us the additional recoil control. Don't think we need it here. Try the Pro Twist. It works out really well. Tac laser, 100-round magazine of the NATO, or the box of the NATO belt, and the tactical foregrip. Again, I've been running tactical foregrip on a lot of my weapons for whatever reason, just bored, and it works out really well on some of these guns, especially the thin LMG or the Knights Armament Company light assault machine gun. Give that thing a try. This thing works out really, really well. Pairing it again with the M82, same build we showed before, works really well also. Next up, the AK-74M build I'm running. Compensator, Spetsnaz Elite Barrel, APX 5 holographic sight, that Russian hollow. We have the 545 by 39mm conversion there, and I'm running the duly devoted blueprint for that to give it more of a modernized looking AK-12 type magazine. And then we're running an operative foregrip. Definitely a weird AK build, but very, very effective in close quarters engagements. Give it a try. Let me know what you guys think. Definitely have won a lot of engagements against Vanguard sweats with this weapon. Then I'm running the SPR. So this is a standard SPR build we've all seen before. Covered a lot. This is the best in-slot, or the best attachments for this thing. Even though it's not the best one-shot headshot that it used to be, for engagements on like Rebirth and Fortune's Keep, it still is more than good enough for that. So definitely give this thing a try still. Works really, really well for those smaller map engagements as well. Especially pairs great with the AK-74. Next up, G36 and the MP7. So this is one I haven't really used in a long time, but still a weapon that I really love. And again, this is one of those higher skill weapons. So the mono suppressor, base barrel, tac laser, 4x flip, running the 30-round magazine, and the commando foregrip. G36, this thing is just a lot of fun to use. Obviously a high skill weapon. We only have a 30-round magazine. It still has a shit ton of recoil. But when you get kills with this thing, it is very, very satisfying. So give this thing a try. Let me know what you guys think. Again, high skill weapon. Don't expect to have great games with it unless you're a really good player. It is a lot of fun to use, but again, it is hard to use. Not an easy weapon by any means. Pairing it with the MP7, same build we've already shown here, just because we need something close quarters with more than 30 rounds that can help us drop those enemies when we run out of ammo in the G36 and don't have time to reload. Basically, if I dump 30 rounds, don't get the kill, I'll finish them with the MP7, or if I get overrun, I'll use the MP7 as well for those close quarters engagements. So those are our Season 5 tactical off-meta type weapons. Let me know what you guys think here. A lot of different ones that we covered here. Again, the M82 I think is the standout here. For whatever reason, been having a lot of good games with this thing, having a lot of fun with it as well. So let me know your thoughts on this thing down below. And also, one of the builds here, I didn't quite cover this one. One of the builds I'm using with the DSA 58, I'm running the stabilizer on this thing and the drop shot grip instead of the optic and the suppressor. So this is just one of those ones where I'm doing weird things to switch it up. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. What's your favorite weapons here in Season 5 that you're using for any of the Modern Warfare or the Cold War weapons, even the Vanguard weapons? Let me know down below. Till next time, this is Buffner Gaming, out.